finally tonight, they say Christmas is the time for children to discover all that is magic and good about us. Oklahoma traveler Scott Thompson would agree after he and photographer Grant Gerondale paused along the track in Eldorado.
Eldorado is a railroad town. The old St. Louis and San Francisco line saw to that. It was 1906 when the men and their mules came through to lay the track and drive the spikes and bring the ways of the world to this farthest corner of Oklahoma. Life was never easy. Men got by working the tracks or the windswept fields, counting on cotton and wheat to fill the larder for another year. It was that way for the Vales, itinerant farmers who wandered into Eldorado with the railroad. The land broke their backs. Losing a baby girl at birth broke their hearts. Mr. Vale could only think to bury the child in a corner of his rented farm, but William Lane, the section foreman for the Frisco, said that wouldn't do. The grave could be lost in time. The railroad right-of-way would be a much better choice. And so Mr. Lane and Mr. Vale fashioned a homemade coffin, and the baby was laid beneath the sod. The Vales soon left their pain behind, and no one knows where they ended up. But Mr. Lane and the Frisco Railroad knew this was a lonesome place for a baby. They fashioned a fence and kept the weeds trimmed and made sure there were flowers on Decoration Day. And there are still some in Eldorado, like Beth Hutchinson, who remember a time when life allowed for small acts of kindness.
The train would stop periodically, and the engineer would jump off and run over and put flowers on the grave.
But the world turns over, and things change, and the Frisco gave way to the Burlington Northern. The visits stopped, and with them the sweet gestures of a simpler time. And Baby Vale was left in silence, save for the thundering freights racing for the Texas line and the whispering prairie winds which follow close behind. Only the rising moon and the setting sun kept their promises to come back.
20.
It was 6 years ago when one of Gloria Mefford's fourth graders came to her with an idea.
And it was Christmas time, and one of my little boys said, you know, I think that baby out there would enjoy having Christmas decorations like we have here in the classroom. So we started then.
It has become a cherished holiday tradition now for the fourth graders to pile in Gloria's car for the short ride down the highway and pay a Christmas visit to Baby Vale, loaded down with bunting and candy canes and a cheery wreath of greens.
Go ahead and start, but you have to really hold on. This wind is terrible.
They do their best to secure Christmas against the vicious north wind. There is pride in each strong knot.
It needs to be like I'm doing something special for the baby. It doesn't want to stay down.
It doesn't take long to dress this tiny plot for the season to offer a bit of cheer in such a dreary place. And the century which separates them is diminished somehow. For Christmas truly is a time for children.
It makes me feel good in my heart.
Someday they can tell their children the story, show them the white fence and tiny cross, and speak with pride of what they've done here. A small bit of goodness shared with a baby who never knew a day of life, never knew a name, but perhaps knows again of the kindness of Christmas and the love of the human heart. In Eldorado, Scott Thompson, the Oklahoma Traveler.
Where's the Kleenex? I'll tell you.
Really? Wow, that's a fantastic story.
That's really something. If the parents of that baby knew what for years would happen afterwards, they would be happy.
Something. Scott Thompson can tell that story like no one else.
I think that's great. Those children, you gotta be here. Thank you for joining us.
See you tomorrow.